Let's bring up our very special guest from Fourth and Long Radio. This guy does like 8 or 9 IG posts a day. He is very dedicated. He does a lot of great work. Ross Allen from Fourth and Long. Welcome to the show. Ross, how are you, my friend?
Well, I feel a whole lot better now with that fantastic intro. You're really good at stroking my ego if that's what we're trying to go with. But no, oh man, it's great to be on. And today is the day that we get the return of NFL, and it's about damn time. And a big game for both teams coming up this Sunday. A really important opener that, both teams. There's a lot of the pro side, there's a lot of the con side, and it's a big prove-it game for either team. It's a really good way to set the tone. And both teams are in similar positions with where they are right now. So, man, I'm super excited. It's going to be good to talk some football.
Awesome. And before we get there, we want to hear all your thoughts on the game and your prediction. But why don't you briefly tell the folks listening or watching who may not know what you do over at Fourth and Long Radio?
Of course. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm the head host and owner. And I'll give myself all the fun titles. That's what I like to do. But over at Fourth and Long, of course, you can find all of our stuff over our website at thefourthandlong.com. We do NFL stuff. We do UFC stuff. We do AFL stuff. That's Australian football. And that's a pain in the ass to try to watch. Of course, we stream it at like 3:30 in the morning my time. So it's a whole, it takes some dedication, but we do all this stuff. We do a few shows a week. We got all these YouTube videos, and like you allude to, got plenty of stuff over on the Instagrams and the Twitter. So on Twitter, you follow us at Fourth Long Radio, Instagram at Fourth Long Radio. Super active, and anything we post, anything and everything. So go and check us out.
Awesome. And welcome to our crew. Now, Hank, Sam, and I are going to ask you just a few questions, kind of get your thoughts on this game. And I guess I'll dive into the first one. And the Denver Broncos, obviously, you had the 9th overall pick in the draft this year. This is a football team that struggled last year, but one strength was their secondary. They, in my opinion, have at worst, a top 2 secondary in the NFL, especially with the addition of drafting Patrick Surtain, who I thought was going to be the first quarterback taken. I think Hank can agree with this, and Sam probably too, as opposed to J.C. Horn. So the fact that he was there for you at 9, considering the Panthers took a corner, is a score, quite frankly. But where do you rank this Denver Broncos secondary?
Well, first off, with Patrick Surtain, I was like not disappointed to get him. There's
I think we lost you, Ross.
Oh.
Is he okay?
I think his mic just got unplugged or something.
Having a little technical difficulty here while Ross regains his connection. We'll give him a minute to get squared away, and then we'll add Ross back once he's ready. Ross, if you just give us the thumbs up backstage when you're good to go.
Oh, he's good already.
Well,
good,
really
Ross.
sorry about that. Obviously, we're not off to the great start here.
Oh, good.
Oh, man, don't you just love when technology doesn't work for you? I guess it's a little easier for me because we don't do live shows, but you guys are live, so you can't mess up there. It looks like I did. I apologize, but we're good to go here. So let's talk this second thing, right?
Nothing a little YouTube editing can't fix.
See, exactly. You spent enough time in the studio. Everything looks like it's perfect the first take. But with Patrick Surtain, I was obviously happy that the Broncos were able to get him. He was a great acquisition to this team. I was a little surprised with it, but if we throw it back to night 1 of the NFL draft, we all remember the Aaron Rodgers rumors that were going around. And, oh man, when I saw those when I was finishing up my class, man, I was super excited. End up not getting him. We'll get him next season, so it's okay. But Patrick Surtain, a fantastic. Yeah, I'll share my false sets of confidence.
Love the hot takes, man.
There. Oh man, if you guys don't know, I'm just chock full of them. But this secondary unit is looking to be just fantastic because you got Kareem Jackson, you got Justin Simmons, who's arguably, in my opinion, he's the best safety in the NFL right now. And he got paid handily, definitely deserves it there. Guys like Ronald Darby's good, Bryce Callahan. Of course, you got guys like Kyle Fuller. You got Patrick Surtain there. It's it's loaded, not only with the starters, but with the depth there as well. And so I'm really excited, and kind of like you guys are talking about, I mean, I don't want to be a homer, but I truly believe that they have the best secondary unit in the NFL. I mean, they're up there with the teams around them, the Browns. I really like what the Dolphins have going. Obviously, the Rams, the Green Bay Packers. I think the Broncos could have the strongest secondary in the league. They have one of the best safeties. They have arguably the best inside cover cornerback. And so I'm super excited to see what they can. I mean, throw it back the headline wearers from the Super Bowl run. I remember how just historically good that defense was, especially that secondary unit. So no fly zone 2.0. And I am very, very excited with the defense that they got going on right now.
Ross, before I get to Sam's question, I want to throw it back to draft night when the Broncos picked Patrick Surtain, and you had this keen reaction.
All right, this is Ross on the Fourth and Long Radio and your resident Broncos fan and Broncos Nation. Let's get the celebration going, because not only do they bring in Patrick Surtain, the second with the 9th overall pick, a pick that I was actually pretty surprised about. I was expecting maybe a Slater, maybe Justin Fields, and thank God it wasn't Mac Jones, but I certainly wasn't expecting this, but I'm not complaining. I have no problems with this. I have no qualms about this pick, because Kyle Fuller, Bryce Callahan, they're on contract years, and they need some reassurance in that secondary that's been haunting the Broncos for probably like the past 2 or 3 seasons.
And you noticed I cut off the end there where you made a bold prediction.
I noticed that, and it's okay, because we're just going to bump it a season. It's all good. It's still going to happen.
all fun, Ross.
Yeah,
that's really funny. The I'm so glad it wasn't Mac Jones thing. That really resonates. I love that.
Yeah.
And to clear, I'm still okay with that. Still happy with that.
The question I have for you actually is related to quarterbacks. So obviously you guys have been rolling with Drew Lock for a while, but Teddy Bridgewater is your QB1 here, and obviously he had some success, especially with the New Orleans Saints when Drew Brees was hurt. Mm-hmm. So now you guys have Drew Lock on your roster still. Do you think that Drew Lock is going to have a shot to kind of make his way back up to QB1? Do you think he's going to end up somewhere else? Are you going to put him on the market? What do you think is going to happen with him?
Okay. Yeah, no, Teddy Bridgewater, I've liked him ever since he was with the Vikings and had that brutal knee injury that really derailed his career. Seeing time with the Saints, with the Panthers. I believe he went 5-0 with the Saints when Drew Brees was out there. And to be honest, when they named Teddy Bridgewater the starter, I was a little bit confused and almost a little bit surprised by that, because Drew Lock looked, I mean, it's only preseason, so of course we got to take everything we see with a grain of salt. But Drew Lock, from where he looked last season to where he looked in this preseason, looked like a different quarterback. He looked so much better. He looked a lot more poised in the pocket. His accuracy was there. His decision-making was heavily improved. There are 2 quarterbacks like what you got to look at a lot of this. So Drew Lock, ceiling raiser. Teddy Bridgewater, floor raiser. And this is kind of just the mentality that the Broncos are going with here, where with Vic Fangio. So apparently there's some controversy. Vic Fangio, bigger fan of Teddy Bridgewater. The new GM, first-year GM, George Patton, bigger fan of Drew Lock. So they're not getting rid of Drew Lock anytime soon. In fact, I still think there's a great chance that we could see Drew Lock play this season. I believe they're going to be going to the season with not a short leash, but it's not going to be a long leash with Teddy Bridgewater. If we see him start to struggle, if we see the Broncos offense look limited, if we see them start to look like they're wasting those weapons like Cortland Sutton, Noah Fant, Jerry Judy, Javonte Williams is looking great as a rookie. Melvin Gordon still too. You almost forgot about him with how good Javonte Williams was looking. And a good offensive line in front of him as well. I mean, Garrett Bowles he was my most improved player last season. He was a god-awful tackle that turned into a stud, top 5 tackle, top 3 tackle, depending on who you're talking about. But the Broncos are holding on to Drew Lock. I believe that Drew Lock is still the future in Denver. Teddy Bridgewater, more of just a stopgap at the moment. Kind of like what they've had ever since Peyton Manning left. And it's been torture.
Yeah. that loss of Peyton Manning was, you guys had that last good year and you hung on to it, and then Peyton Manning left, and it's been pretty rough since then, right?
Worth it. They got a Super Bowl. That's
very
all that
true.
matters.
Hey, I mean, no pun intended, but every good Colt becomes a Bronco. See what I did there?
It's a fact. I saw that all the time when Peyton Manning made that move, and just one of the many solid moves that John Elway made during his tenure as GM with the Broncos, but also some not so good moves to go along with that.
I always feel like it's harder for a former quarterback who was a star to really properly evaluate a talented quarterback. I don't know if that's just me, but that's just my take on John Elway as a GM.
I don't know if it was just a quarterback that was the problem, though.
No, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Well, I understand that. Like, I guess there's a little bit of correlation there. It's almost like a boom or bust. Either they're really good at analyzing quarterback prospects, or they're just really bad with it. John Elway, Brock Osweiler, man.
Ouch.
Thank God he left to the Texans. Dodged a bullet there.
Definitely. Well, anyways, speaking of quarterbacks, let's talk about wide receivers. So, as we know, Tim Patrick was actually the leader for the Broncos with 6 receiving touchdowns last year. And
heavily underrated receiver. Thank you very much.
Yeah, no, he is pretty underrated. Jerry Judy last year, let me pull up his stats for you. He had 856 receiving yards, but only 3 touchdowns. Some might look at that as a disappointment, but when you really look at the quarterback play of the Broncos, I feel like it really isn't entirely his fault. So what I want to know is, do you think that this is going to be the year that Jerry Jones is going to break out? Or Jerry Judy, rather.
It's all good.
Why am I thinking of the geriatric Cowboys owner?
Man, you think Jerry Jones would be the last name to come out of Giants fans?
I don't know. I don't know. The Jays threw me off.
It's all good. We know what you meant there. Jerry Judy has to wear a good amount of the blame of his perceived failure last season. Let's call it as it is. He didn't live up to expectations. That's failing. That's not a bad thing. That's just how it was. Jerry Judy, although his quarterbacks weren't great, I mean, the most elite quarterback in the NFL, Joe Flacco, did not have a great season per se last year. Drew Lock, iffy in spots a lot of the season. But Jerry Judy had a lot of drops and a lot of killer drops in killer moments. So that was really tough to watch, in my opinion. Jerry Judy, though, he's on track for a outstanding season because he's going to be lined up with guys like KJ Hamler, who's just blows the top off a defense with how damn fast that guy is. I think one of his fastest runs was when he was at Penn State. It wasn't like a stop to or it wasn't from stop, but they took a 40-yard dash from when he was running, I think around like a 4.1 40, something along those lines. So that dude's blazing fast. Cortland Sutton, fantastic receiver. It's going to be great to have him. Hopefully, I'll knock on wood here, for a full season, nice and healthy, no offense there. So Jerry Judy is in a really good spot there. He's surrounded by talent, and that's only going to help him. It's only going to give him a little more space. But it's not like he needs space just because about how much damn separation this guy gets. Jerry Judy is one of the best and purest route runners in the league already. He's only a sophomore. Just comes down to catching the football. So I really like Jerry Judy. I could definitely see him breaking 1,000 yards this season and get around that 6, 7, 8 touchdown range. Also good. I mean, it's a little late for this, but he would have been a good pickup in fantasy late round if you could.
Yeah, I also think a guy like Noah Fant could potentially benefit from improved quarterback play this year. I mean, he has top 10 tight end talent, so that'll be interesting to monitor. But my next question for you is Von Miller, who returns from an injury this season. He's a guy I really like on your linebacking core. Josie Jewell as well was second on the team last year with 112 tackles. But Von Miller specifically, Ross, what is he going to bring to the table in this Week 1 matchup? Because if you're a Broncos fan, and I'm looking at the Giants' 2 tackles, Nate Solder, who didn't play last year and is going to be 33 years old soon, check. Andrew Thomas, is coming off a mediocre rookie campaign and looked awful in training camp, check. If I'm Von Miller, I mean, I might be the NFL sack leader by the end of Week 1.
I am so no offense to Giants, man. No offense to them.
None taken.
But you have two tackles that are turnstiles that are also made out of paper mache. Okay. So if you're Von Miller, and now for one of the first times ever, we get to see him lined opposite of Bradley Chubb. You're going to see these two guys on opposite sides of the football. And if you're offensive coordinator, offensive line coach, if you're Daniel Jones this game, you just have to be shaking in your cleats right now. If you're Von Miller, if you're Bradley Chubb, oh man, this is one hell of a game to get things started because, like you just laid out, the recipe for success, it's there, and they're so ready. I mean, they're going to take advantage of any team with a pass rush, with their pass rush and rushing the quarterback, it's probably going to be the Giants are probably going to be one of those teams here. Interior, they're a little better. Exterior, oh, it's not looking good. But Von Miller, oh, man, honestly, I could see a return because I think the league kind of forgot about Von Miller since he missed last year. I think they kind of forget how damn good this guy is. He averages about 0.8 sacks a game, and that's above or on par with Hall of Famers like Julius Peppers, Jared Allen, and future Hall of Famer DeMarcus Ware, and current top pass rushers in the league, Chandler Jones, J.J. Watt, and Shaq Barrett. All really good players. This guy, Von Miller, is absolutely nasty. He's so damn quick off the football. And, I mean, I don't think a lot of people saw this, but if we remember, one of my favorite games of all time was the Broncos versus Patriots in the AFC Championship game in 2016 when they made that Super Bowl run. He was reading Tom Brady's snap count. A guy, like one of the hardest snap counts to read. Tom Brady is he's the greatest quarterback of all time. He's obviously really good at throwing defenses off on and keeping them guessing. Von Miller was able to jump the snap almost every play he was on the field, and he's even he's even taught Bradley Chubb that art of being able to jump the football and be able to time the snap perfectly. His get off is arguably the best in the league when he's healthy. So Von Miller, like Jerry Judy, is primed for a huge season this year, and I'm very, very excited, and I'm all here for it.
He's even got a Super Bowl MVP, which is very rare for a linebacker, too. Mm-hmm. I should point that out.
Well, with that game, ain't no one winning the Super Bowl MVP besides him.
Only the third linebacker to have a Super Bowl MVP, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Or at the time, he was the third.
Just really good stuff there. And also it's going to help. The quarterback's going to have to the quarterback's first read's probably not going to be there. Even their second read might not be there with how damn good the secondary unit is. So everything is just like lining up perfectly for Von Miller this season. So that's why I'm so excited to see him.
Yeah, no, I think it's great to see him return, and I'm really looking forward to see him too. Although maybe not so much against my offensive line, but
maybe not week one, but the other
maybe not week one. But I'm looking forward to see him terrorizing other quarterbacks in the AFC. And matter of fact, I actually do think the Broncos have a bit of a high ceiling, but we'll get to that later.
Okay.
For now, though, my question is about your head coach, and that's Vic Fangio. We know he's been an assistant coach for a long time, and it took him until I believe the 2019 season for him to finally get his first shot at a head coaching job. Yep. And so my question to you is, we know he's obviously going to be on the hot seat because it's his third year. The Broncos have been kind of mediocre the first 2 years. Is it really fair to put him up there, or do you blame that more on the lack of maybe a quality quarterback play or lack of a solid team around him? Or is it hand in hand?
Well, if you look at the quarterbacks, like you mentioned, from that Vic Fangio has had, he's now entering his third season as a head coach of the Denver Broncos, and his quarterbacks have been Joe Flacco, Drew Lock, Teddy Bridgewater, among others. They've had some of those guys. They've had a practice squad wide receiver as a quarterback. So obviously it hasn't been great. And those three guys, so Joe Flacco, Drew Lock, Teddy Bridgewater, they have a career or an average career QBR of 74. That's not good. I know you don't have to be a football expert to know that. I think it's like I say a lot of hot takes. I don't think it's hot take to say that's not great. Okay. and that's not the 1 out of 100. That's 1 out of 154.6. 4, 3.
Yeah.
You know that one.
Yikes.
The number that I don't understand how the hell they get it. It's magic. But it's been a tough. He has been in a great situation his first couple years as a head coach. Also, he's a defensive guy, so I can't really blame him for the lack of offensive success. Obviously, he's a head coach, so he's going to have to bear the brunt of a lot of it. But the Broncos didn't bring him in for him to run an offense. They brought him in to run a great defense, and he's done that the last couple seasons. Now, the numbers might be skewed with the points given up, yards given up, but it doesn't help that they've had a god-awful offense for 2 years and have your defense on the field for 75% of the game. Isn't a recipe for success. So I wouldn't say he's on the hot seat. I'd say his seat's definitely warm. It's not comfortable right now. But
Fair.
I think there's a really low chance that he gets fired. Something catastrophic is going to have to happen for him to be fired this season or after this season. But he's definitely primed for he's easily in the best position he's ever been in as a head coach of the Denver Broncos. Way better than Vance Joseph. Look at this man having the time of his life.
I'm
That's a good
sorry,
one,
I
Rob.
cannot get that out of my head.
One of the most legendary sideline quotes of all.
Sergio Dip.
Every time I bring up Vance Joseph, I have to bring up that quote. Glad you guys appreciate that. But Vance Joseph, like the Broncos, is going to have a good season, and he's going to get a 4th year with this team. I'm 93.5% confident.
Coach somewhere else.
That's very specific.
Yes.
93.5. Well, I like that though.
93.5. Nothing lower, nothing higher. 93.5.
What's funny is like the one of the things that I remember about Vic Fangio's, like I think it was his first year coaching, was he had kidney stones in preseason and he coached through the preseason with kidney stones, and I was like, that's a guy, like that is a tough guy. He was on the sidelines.
Football guy.
That's a straight up football guy.
Yes, that's a football guy right there. That's a football move, man. That
was excellent when I was just like, oh, we're talking about Vic Fangio's kidney stones? That's a fun storyline to be discussing.
Vic Fangio not having the time of his life with kidney stones on the sideline.
Not having the time of his life. Our last question that we have for you, I think a lot of people can say that I am like the drama queen in terms of I just love the drama.
Fair enough.
And
I've seen some of your stuff. I agree.
Yes, I love on my own podcast. I love talking about all the tea. It's great. So there is a bit of tea to spill here, which I'm excited to ask you about. So your former running back, Monty Ball, decided to say, and I have his direct quote here, the Giants should be a walk, a cakewalk. We should go into New York and obviously come out with a W there. So with him coming out saying that, obviously he has a lot of, confidence in this team. Does this make you nervous to go into week 1 with him saying this with all this confidence? Or are you like, yeah, no, I totally agree with him?
No, this doesn't make me nervous at all. You want to know why? It also doesn't bring confidence. The reason is because who cares what Monty Ball has to say? Who cares? Look at this guy. He was supposed to be this new all-star running back coming out of college, and he was alcoholic that could have run the football and fumbled all the time. I'm not trying to be like attack this guy personally because obviously I don't know him. But who cares about Monty Ball? Who gives a damn? Was he like with the Broncos like 7-8 years ago? Why is he relevant?
They're talking to him. They're trying to get his
I almost
insight on
choked on my water after hearing that.
So, okay, Monty. Oh, but let's look into the quote here. Let's look into the quote. Be a little professional here, Ross. The Giants are not a cakewalk. They're not a bad team. They're almost underrated because everyone. It's one of the easiest teams to crap on. It just is. They're in the worst division in football. There's all this ammunition to make fun of the Giants. That's just a fact. Also, to be fair, there's a lot of ammunition to make fun of the Broncos. Neither team has been that great recently. Thank God that the Broncos have won a Super Bowl more recently than the Giants have. But also shout out to the Giants and Eli Manning for stopping Tom Brady from winning 2 more Super Bowls. So I always got to be thankful for them, even though Eli Manning is not a Hall of Famer. And
Okay.
Whoa.
Turn the volume down. Turn the volume down. We will not be going down this road.
Oh, I know. I just had to talk some smack. He'll make it in. Definitely not first ballot, at least. He's going to eventually get in. But of course, that's a different topic. I had to talk about that being in the group with Giants fans here.
Of course, yeah.
Come on. Can you blame me?
I think the debate is if he's a first ballot or not. The debate isn't Hall of Fame or not. I think the debate is when does he get in, right? I think
more
that's the argument.
of a Hall of Famer than Tony Romo is, at least.
Well, yeah.
You're damn right.
He has that going for him. I'll give him 4 ballots. Give him 4.
Fair.
Okay.
I think that's reasonable. But back to the point with Monty Ball talking smack in a kind of in a scenario where he shouldn't really be opening his mouth here. I don't know why. The Broncos cut him for good reason. He's more of alcohol than Matt Prater, but at least Matt Prater was good for the team. Man, I really am getting personal and off the field today. It's not like me, but yeah, right. Shoot. Like I was saying, the Giants aren't a cakewalk. They're a little more of an underrated team just because they're one of the more made fun of teams. I'm not saying they're a great team. I don't believe that. I believe they'll struggle to be a good team, if I'm being honest here. Just because there's a lot of things going against them, and they also play some tough defenses. You have to play the Washington football team twice, and their offense, we'll wait and see. I actually really like what Washington is doing this year, and their defense is going to be, they might even be top 5 this season, so that's not great. And then the Cowboys, at least on paper, their defense is good, but also we saw that worked out for them last year. This is going to be a closer game. I know before I came on, we were talking about the point spread here. Was it Broncos 2.5? Yeah. I think that's fair. I think it's going to be a 1-score game here. I think it comes down to, I'll take the over I'll take Broncos by 4 in this one. But I think that's really reasonable. There's a lot of new moving pieces for each of these teams, and it's always tough to get going immediately in week 1. I think the Broncos have a bit more of an advantage there because it's easier for a defense to get going early than it is an offense. Typically and historically speaking, normally offensive lines take a lot longer to get acclimated to the season than defensive lines do. So, game, not cakewalk. It's a winnable game. The Broncos should win this game. This is a should win. Will they blow it? There's a damn good chance there. It's the Denver Broncos. Come on now. But no, I don't like what Monty Ball had to say. I think he's
Yeah, I agree and disagree. I actually think the Giants should win this game, being that it's at home. I think if it was at Mile High, then I would agree. I would say
home
Denver.
Split game, split stadium.
This
You
is
have
true,
the Jets
but-
running around there. You have a Black Cat that's more of a home team than the Giants are sometimes. I'm sorry,
true,
that's
but,
rude.
no.
The Cat's great though. The Cat's a great mascot, honestly.
Look, I'm worried about guys. Like, I don't know what your injury report's been looking like. I don't know
It's
if
looking very positive right now. More positive than the Giants, at least. We have our starting tight end, which is nice.
Oh no, I'm totally fine with Ingram not playing. He could go play some volleyball. I'm more confident in Kyle Rudolph than Evan Ingram.
I'm worried about Saquon too, and Kenny Galladay still listed as questionable, right?
Galladay's gonna play.
Okay.
Barkley will play. Ingram won't. Ingram probably is gonna miss the first 2 to 3 weeks of the season.
How's Andrew Thomas looking?
Not too great, but to be fair, it's preseason, right? We can only judge these guys so much. I think he's going to take strides in year 2. He kind of has to. Number 4 overall pick. I think last year he was playing on an injury that was not noted by the media, which could have deterred his play a little bit, but that doesn't leave any excuses out there to say why his play was so poor the first 8 weeks of the season. So that's kind of like where I'm at with that. But Ross, is there anything you wanted to add on the Denver Broncos? Obviously, this is a Pat Shurmur homecoming, so
Who?
I really hope that
Him?
yeah, him, Hank.
Does he get applauded when he steps into MetLife? What are your bets?
I'm gonna go with no.
I would, only because of the way he treated Eli Manning.
Mm.
He treated him a lot better than
Ben
that's who we
McApoo?
showed.
Well,
Yeah.
no. But he. I forgot about that guy.
He's the one who shall not be named. But yeah, I mean, you guys get the point, right? I mean, I didn't love Pat Shurmur, but I liked him as a person. Just because I didn't like him as a coach, that doesn't mean I think he was, I think he's a good person. He's more of an offensive mind. That's why he succeeded in Minnesota, and he's hopefully going to succeed with Denver's offense as well. There's some young talent there. So,
on Denver's side, isn't Bradley Chubb? Doesn't he have an ankle injury? Or what did he?
The warrant for him and his detainment was more of an issue than the ankle.
Oh,
so, yeah. That was a worrying situation. But no, both Bradley Chubb and Von Miller are going to be on a bit of a kind of a snap count here.
Yeah.
Or I guess they're going to be having a limited. They're not going to be full bore. They're probably going to be mostly third down, second or first and third down, which is an issue because you got guys like Deshaun Williams. I mean, in the interior with Mike Purcell and Draymond Jones, those are still really solid guys up front. So I'm not super worried, and even like Malik Reed is a really solid backup. So they're not. I mean, they're going to be semi-limited this game. So yeah, that's going to take them a little bit, but I still think they'll be able to find some success early enough in when they're still playing.
Awesome. Now, Ross, before we let you go here, is there anything you wanted to add on this game? I know you're predicting a Broncos victory, but obviously 20-year anniversary of 9/11, these two teams played the night before that happened. Are you looking forward to seeing these two teams clash again? Like, these teams only meet 4 times a year, so this is a pretty special moment and event that the NFL kind of set it up this way.
I think it was a good move by the NFL's schedulers. I know I hate a lot of them because they've been piss poor a lot of the time. We see teams like, I mean, not this season, but we see teams like the Chiefs have a schedule that's their opponents are combined like 400 win record. It's has been great, but I digress. Roger Goodell, I blame him for that. I blame him for everything bad with the NFL because he deserves it. Hurry up and make Peyton Manning the commissioner. And I'm really good with these tangents. I know you guys have noticed, so I'll focus on on the question here. I don't know. With the Broncos, it's going to be a spectacle. New York, 9/11. I'm excited for that. It's going to be a really important day there on Sunday. It's obviously it's going to be more than just a game, so that's huge. And obviously emotions are going to be flying high. It's opening day. You got all this stuff going on, so I'm really excited for this game. I think it's a really good first game for both the New York Giants and the Denver Broncos here. And all I'm saying, I'm predicting the Broncos win. It's going to be a close game. I think it's going to be probably low 20s. It probably at the highest. I don't think anyone breaks into the 30s in this one. The Broncos are really talented in not breaking to the 30s. So are the Giants. So both teams are fairly even when it comes to scoring. But for the Broncos season, at least, they have a high ceiling. They might be the most, I don't even want to sound like a homer, so I've kind of avoided saying this, but the Broncos might be one of the most underrated teams in the entire NFL this year. Because if you look at just the roster, I mean, maybe besides the quarterback position, but you got a really solid running back duo with Melvin Gordon, Javonte Williams, Cortland Sutton, KJ Hamler, Jerry Judy, Tim Patrick, Noah Fant, a improved offensive line here. Garrett Bowles is one of the best left tackles in the game right now. Dalton Risner, a young guy that's coming into his own and is already looking good. Lloyd Cushenberry from center from LSU. He had a questionable season last year. Wasn't the best, but he's seen a lot of growth is what the reports are during this preseason. And so I've been very happy to hear that. And their defense, I mean, we've already talked about their defense. Their defense is really good. They have the potential to have their secondary is the best in the league. They have the potential to have a top 3 defense in general. And so we saw how good the Broncos can be. As long as they have a really good defense, they can win the Super Bowl with a guy that's able to lead the offense, but also has a noodle arm. So, I mean, you run the football, you play really good defense, and you do enough as a quarterback. Teddy Bridgewater right now is by far a more talented quarterback than what Peyton Manning was in his last season with the Broncos, and we saw just how damn good they could be. Teddy Bridgewater is a little bit better at pushing the ball down the field, is what I've seen this preseason. But also, he's just a smart guy. He's a veteran guy. He knows when to make plays and when to not. And if the Broncos are smart with the football, they're able to have a positive turnover ratio. I see a lot of success for them. Obviously, they're in a bit of a tough division, playing the Chiefs and the Chargers twice. I mean, the Raiders. Yeah, they're the Raiders. But their schedule isn't the easiest, but it's also not the hardest. So I think the Broncos, they're a dark horse playoff team. Will they make it this year? Probably not. I can see them closer to like 9-7 or 9-8, excuse me, with the 17 games, and maybe a 10-7. So I think they have the ability to shock a lot of people, but they also have the ability to lay a fat stinker this season. So I'm a little bit worried, but I'm cautiously optimistic is what I'm going to go with here.
Awesome. Well, best of luck to you and your Denver Broncos. I think they do have the potential to reach that ceiling if everything falls into place. Ross is the host, the head honcho over at Fourth and Long Radio, so make sure to go check his podcast and his pages out on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. Ross does a lot of good work, and Ross, I don't know how you do it, man, but like 8 to 10 IG posts a day. You have some special like clicking power.
Oh, you want to know how I do it? I'll give you the industry secret. I don't have a life, and all I do is work. That's what I do. I work 8 hours in the day. I come home and work another, I don't know, probably 6. So don't have a life. Don't get sleep. And go crazy with what you're doing. And that's all there is to. Also, I mean, with the post, make a lot of templates because it speeds things up.
This is also true. This is also very, very true. Good advice for those at home watching.
Good stuff.
And
I really appreciate it, guys. That means a lot to me. Thank you.
Yeah, very hard worker. And Ross, best of luck to you on Sunday. Hank and I will be at the game. So
ooh, lucky you guys.
Can't wait to meet up. That's going to be a lot of fun.
Right. Well, one thing, I will be at the Broncos Jets game in Denver this season, so I'll be rooting heavily against one of the Giants rivals there. So I got you guys covered in that aspect. And I specifically chose a winnable game to end this year.
Oh yeah, that okay. Maybe Monty Ball has an argument if it's the Jets we're talking about. On that note, Ross, thank you so much. I'll let you catch the Thursday night football season opener, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Yes, sir. Well, really appreciate you guys having me on. Like you said, best of luck to the Giants. I'm hoping for a good game. I'm hoping for something that just doesn't look awful, but you never know with these two teams. But ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for having me on. It was an absolute blast, and can't wait to talk some more football this year.
Absolutely. Thank you, Ross.